So I'm going to make a series of videos describing how I've come to the conclusions I have for the Bosque lifestyle within this space. I'm going to explain some inspirations for why I think the way I do, attempt to justify them with my experiences, and then figure out how they can be implemented with other people while we live here. So these set of videos is of great interest to potential participants or visitors because, in a sense, the place is very strict. You know, it's just like if you were to visit an Amish community or something. They have ways of doing things. If you were to do things in a different way than the culture is there, you gotta be an asshole. And I'll just be up front, this is not a religious place like the Amish have. Part of their basis is their religion, but it's a place with intense lifestyle choices that have already been made. And when you come here, you'll fit into those and you'll love it, maybe. Now, maybe you'll decide not to come. Please don't come if you're not into it. You can say in response to this series of videos, you know, like, well, that's bad, you shouldn't do that, or whatever. You make your own life. You do whatever the hell you want, okay? I'm not trying to control your life. But don't get too pissy about the fact that things are done differently here by choice, and I think in a very well-reasoned way. And they are decisions, and they're not all like do whatever you want freedom, which some people seem to think is like fantasy land that can exist. You go find that and let me know, because I'd like to visit. This place is a well-ordered place, and I'm going to do something that most places don't do. I'm going to describe why that is, in detail, scientifically, based on experience, and based on a vision of having an awesome place. So this series of videos is about the culture we have while we're here and why we have it. I hope they're interesting videos for you. Please do add your own experience as commentary. Make your own video if you want. And let me know how things in a similar thing work in your life. Let's say we're talking about food, you know. Contribute your thoughts. I'm not pretending I know everything. I'm pretending, well, not pretending at all. What I'm doing is I'm offering you what experience I have and the conclusions I've come to. Anybody who wants to be a dick about that or an asshole, sorry, I don't like to say dick because it seems sexist. We'll just go with asshole since everybody has one of those and a lot of people seem to talk out of theirs. That's not very polite, is it? Well, anyway, the people I'm referring to, you probably don't want to hear from either. But let's have a smart conversation. Let's have an empathetic conversation. For me, this project is extremely personal, great personal investment, and I'm still having an open mind about a lot of things, and other things are just decided about how they're going to be, how we're going to use time, whether we get up in the morning, whether we walk slow like cows with nothing to do in their life, or whether we walk from point A to point B quickly because we're trying to get things done. Whether or not we develop our role and play our role in whatever way you come here, because there's a mix of ways to come here. And I'm figuring that out. Because we have to know what we're doing. We have to get stuff done. People can come here, of course, and just visit and not be highly engaged or scheduled or things like that. I think I need to offer that. But that's not really the Bosque experience I want to create for people who are here longer term. I want to create a culture that is highly functional, and so my goal is really to replace culture as it exists now. The way you live now is different than the way other people live in other places, and the way that people live in their places tends to determine whether they have a happy, healthy society or not, or one that in fact collapses in their civilization around them. So the game is serious, and what I'm curious about is when you look at your own culture, what influences you, what controls you, what needs do you have that aren't met? What's the future of your family if you have one? Do you feel like you're enjoying your life? Because I think that it would be a great world if everybody could kind of enjoy their life. And I don't mean play. I don't mean just goof off all the time. A lot of people, I think that's their goal state, is have no commitments, need nothing, have all your needs met, and do no work for it, and everyone really serves you and adjusts to you. That's what rich people often experience because they can buy the labor of others. And that might be fine. There's issues about how labor works. It gets back into the roles again. You can come as that fantasy. You can come as just a consumer. And I'm tempted to say, no, you can't do it because I so much want people to engage. Now, so far, I don't think it's a problem because if the environment has enough exciting things going on in it, if the people are dynamic here, if this person is having one of the most amazing experiences of their lives, physically, intellectually, spiritually, if you use that kind of word, I tend to avoid it. And the people who come here, if they've studied the place and they've selected to come here, even if they're paying and they're being served, they don't have to cook, they don't have to do almost, they're not obligated to do anything. But I believe that if we have such an amazing environment with such amazing activities going on, that the kind of people who would come here are coming here to engage heavily. Now, the extreme opposite of that would be the hermits. The hermit program is one in which you come and you're not connected to anything except trees and animals. And you're in a little hut on your own. And there's various styles of that. You can cook for yourself or not. You could make it so you can go to the group meals or whatever. The role is completely flexible. You define it, and the culture around you will adjust so you can be the kind of hermit you want to be. If you wanted to, you could stay here a month and never see another person. There could be an exception to that if somebody's out like working on a trail or something. I'm not going to get picky about it. But the point is that your food could be delivered to you in a box. And then you'd return any dishes or anything out, or you'd be doing your own dishes or whatever. There's a variety of options. So this series of videos is about every part of understanding what this experience is, because I want to be really upfront with people, more so than anywhere I've ever heard of, about how things work here. I'm not going to sell you on the place that you should come here. 99.9% of people should not come here. You don't need to email me and tell me you don't want to come here for whatever your reason is. I don't give a shit. Don't come if you don't want to come. One thing to note is that the place will not change for you. I'm making things as flexible as I can while having them be organized and well-defined. A lot of people are against organization, efficiency, and things being well-defined because they wish to take advantage of others. So my advice to you is seek out systems that are well organized so that you're protected within it, so that you're making social contracts and promises, and then you don't have to later on feel victimized. You want this experience to be empowering for you. At the same time, understand that those people who only come to take in a place, we will identify and remove. Most of them won't come here. In other words, if you're a taker, and I don't know if you're self-identified as a taker, like you really know that you're manipulating people and you have net imbalance relationships where you end up stealing from them essentially until, in one form or another, until they decide that they want to cut you out of their life. If you don't have long-term friends, maybe you're a taker. Anyway, you want to be in a community where there's no takers. Even takers want to be in a community where there's not other takers because those people are competition. What they'd like to do is find a happy hippie community where they can be late to things or they can just borrow shit or there's so many ways that people are takers and we don't want any of them. Now, of course, ultimately we are all takers, right? I'm ultimately a taker in the world. Well, who knows how to count these things? And I'm not going to get too picky about it. I'm certainly not going to get into details about, my evaluation of others. Although you can imagine on some levels, I think I'm doing a good job by comparison in terms of things like energy use. But I'm also in this bizarre situation in the world where I get to do what I want with 83 acres. I mean, that's just amazingly lucky. And I have the amazing opportunity to do it in a non-profitable way. Let me repeat that. I have the opportunity to have control over a forest. What happens here is my decision, my designs, what I plant, what I don't, how I think about water flow, all these complex things, and this massive burden on me. It's a most beautiful burden you can imagine. To get to guard it, a guardabosque, to be a forest ranger, I get to see over time. Anyway, we'll skip all that. I love it. But the responsibility is immense because I need to figure out legal things about like what happens to this land after I die. And I need to figure out fairly quickly since I have friends that are dying. Guys my age just fall over sometimes, So, I've never been fully invincible. I used to take a lot more risks than I do now. But unfortunately, the part of the burden of owning land is making sure it gets into a state with the next owner where it's protected. And this is a puzzle for me because I'm not going to go hire a lawyer that much. I don't know if I should divide up. I'm thinking all about, how can I share this property correctly with people? And no, give it to me is not something I want to hear. When I've mentioned about what I should do with the land, about 25 people so far have said to me, give it to me. And it's like, that's your fucking proposal, first of all? Why the fuck would I, sorry, not supposed to curse. Why would I give it to somebody I don't really know and I don't hear their plan for it? And I developed a nonprofit that I could give it to, but the nonprofit's not really functional. I don't know what I'm doing. It's legal stuff and accountants, and I really don't want to deal with it. I'd rather partner with a nonprofit. In fact, that's what I should probably do, is contact nonprofits and say, hey, I've got a resource, and we have, if they have compatible goals, we have an opportunity to partner in some way, because I've got this resource that's essentially unused on the people end. The forest itself is just doing astoundingly great. And what I've been doing, a large part of my task here over years, it takes years to do this kind of stuff, I guess, at least if you're me. Where the hell am I going? It's like talking to this camera. I was doing something. Oh yeah, I'm taking these fucking planning papers down to figure a bunch of stuff out and figure out what our priorities are right now. What I'm doing is sculpting the land and figuring out how people can use it. This is like a landscape design, how people can use it and not destroy it. So I want to have a design that there could be 100 people here camping out or something, or 50 people in huts. And when I have had that kind of numbers here, I think my biggest group was 63 people around that. It's kind of hard to count. Depends on whether you count the staff from town or not. I do. They're more important than the temporary participant, and we'll just drop by once. Well, this trail's all grown over. Massively grown over. This is such a beautiful spot. I'm in Upper Alicante with the puppies. Hi, puppies! Hi, puppies! Coco, you're so pretty. Pretty puppies. Upper Alicante is grown over very nicely. We have a fire pit up here that needs to be re-cleared. That won't take very long at all. There's even some firewood sitting there. There's no seating because the seating was wood rounds, which will now become firewood. I used to think it was a waste of wood to cut wood rounds as seating. Now I believe we should produce tons of such seating because it's still useful later as firewood, and it's a really cheap, completely organic way to produce seating. So let's talk about these kind of round wooden seats that go around a fire pit. This is a fire pit right here. See it? And I want to clear this out immediately and start using it. It's winter now. The nights are long. So we can hide out inside, but I'm pro fire pit to get people outside. It's such primal goodness. People love it. And some people that come here are good at making fires. I'm pretty good at it. Mainly I don't do it right here because I don't care. This whole fire pit's an awesome location. It's between the lodge and the view. And I would like people to take this trail to get to the lodge, not the other one. So one to-do item here is fix up this fire pit. And part of that is we're going to cut down a pine tree here, and we're going to turn it into seats. That is a good use of a pine tree. There's a whole bunch of pine trees in here I don't even want here because this is being converted into an oak forest. See this huge oak right here? So this is all about forest design. Anyway, if we cut down that pine, for example, that is enough seats, if we were to just use it for seats, varying heights, angled properly for sitting on, comfortable for your butt as much as they can be. But people can deal with it. It's a great form of seating. And if we divide that tree up into sections, That would be enough seats for probably 3 fire pits. That is a lot of fire pits. And those things will last even if we didn't treat the bottom, which I would like to look into treating the bottom of them and also painting a white circle around it. And the reason for that is so you can see it in the dark, and because I want to seal the bottom a little bit, perhaps with pine resin as well. Although pine resin is sticky, so we want to avoid that with chairs. You got to be very careful with that. Upper Alicante. This is a best trail right here. If I mark this well, this is a very interesting trail. This whole area, Alicante area. Oh, that tree got either hit by lightning or, oh, I think I remember this one. Part of it broke off. There's baby trees all in here. This is a baby pine.